A very good evening to one and all present over here. I sincerely thank you to take out time from your schedule and attend this first business partner meet of Century Group for FY 2021. A very special thank to all the business partners who have joined us from across the world. Yes, we heard it right. We have real estate professionals who have joined us from US, Bahrain, Dubai, Singapore, and also from other states of India like Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta, Chennai, Kochi, and Hyderabad. What a gathering. Maximum of you know me, and for those whom I have not been able to meet till now, my name is Ajay, and I take care of sourcing national and international market for Century Real Estate. To start the most exciting business opportunity session for FY 2021, I would invite my colleague Shavik, who heads the marketing for Century Group, to take this forward. Shavik, all yours.
Thank you, Ajay. Warm welcome to all of you. And I'd like to start with a fairly audacious slide. Now, look at the ecosystem we are in today. I think every day that there's a lockdown, there's almost value to the extent of $4.5 billion getting wiped out. Sectors such as tourism, travel industry, aeronautical, airfare, ride share, all of these are going sort of defunct or belly up, or at least in a state of compression. Into a scenario like that, I think it's a very exciting proposition for us to evaluate what can be done for the next, not just the decade, not just the next year, not just the next month, because that is a little paltry in our sense of scheme of things. What we are really here to discuss is how an opportunity may be extended for very many years. And what better start to that than with a small ode to the crazy ones, the audacious ones, the ones with real vision.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
One of my favorite advertisements, and of course, it takes a certain amount of craziness to really get into an ecosystem this wildly under, not under control, and define what's coming next for the next very many years. So you're not going to discuss in this symposium only the next quarter. But what is that but a 120-day cycle where we come and go and do our business and move on? We're not here for the next year. In fact, we're not even here for the next decade. A very loud, audacious call to arms to all of you who make your bread and butter from this fantastic sector called real estate. We are here to participate for the next century. And I will borrow a few seconds of your time to exemplify why. So the next century, my friends, is where you work with Century Real Estate. It's a very interesting phonetic syntax semblance to the word, but allow us to explain. Typically, any good developer takes a 10-acre land parcel. The best of the best pretty much launch 3 projects in the space of a year. So at the max, and availability of what's there is a good 100 odd years. So how do you ensure undiminished opportunities for the next 100 years is what we're going to discuss here today. A very quick look at where Century's projects lie and where they are yet to come. If you look at this small schematic map projected here, you have, starting from Century Renata, which is pretty much the center of the center, Richmond Circle, to Ethos, the ones in blue, to Century Horizon, Breeze, Artisan, CSV, Century Sports Village, and Eden, Northwest. There are a good 10 odd projects which are already available for business in the next quarter. We'll deliberate more on that. But look at the ones in red, right from the one close to HL Airport. Then you have one right next to Ethos. In fact, one more. You have the great GKVK 125 acres of open greens at your behest. And all of these flanking NH44, which is the connecting arterial route, as many of you know, between the two states. So even without defining 3,000 acres, I can over a map here today tell you about the 10 large projected launches that we will have in the near future. Now it is up to you, the proponent of real estate, our channel partner brethren, to define how fast we grow, how nimbly we adapt, how voluminously we adapt to sales and shore up business volumes. Unmatched opportunity, I can wager without an iota of doubt, this is probably the largest opportunity in an aggregated manner that you will ever get in Bangalore. Whether you're in Hyderabad or Kochi or Calcutta or Delhi, I think nascent land banks girdled by infrastructural promise are the ones where the actions really lies. And of course, if I really add up all of this, make it a little dramatic because we understand numbers, we understand incentives. Over the next 100 years, and if you really want to expedite this, it can be even sooner, there's 3,500 crores of brokerage to be had. So come partner with Century for the next century. How appropriate and how phonetically beautiful that sounds to me. And I'm sure it appeals to a lot many more of you. I spoke a little bit earlier about the sectors which are falling out of favor, unfortunately, due to in the wake of COVID. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that we are very fortunate to be in the midst of an organization which is in the wake of this major colossal damage that's happening day in, day out. $4.5 billion eroded of your gross domestic product. We are here discussing opportunities for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, as much as you want to, feed yourself, as much growth appetite as you may have. So today begins really the first day of the rest of our lives. And I think the calling card for all of this is an acknowledgement to the past. There is no riding into the future without understanding legacy. Be acknowledging the challenges and the opportunities of the present, and see really deep diving into the products which will define these opportunities. And we strongly feel it is not a singular one man's vision which casts the way. Increasingly in this rather disparate sector, people are realizing that professionals, scientifically, analytically driven professionals, are the ones who are defining the roadmap, who are executing that vision with planning, with cash flow projectability, with bias towards numbers, with sharp targeting and commensurate results. Because there's no point having a great vision without great execution. And we believe 300 of you who are aggregated here today and more joining us as we speak, you guys will define the future for us and for yourselves. A quick look at the sector, and I think it's imperative that we cast a glance at the top line numbers. Real estate is slated to become the second largest employment generator after agriculture. And I think as cities become more densely, populated with inflow of migrants and people, and qualified people at that, there is a larger acknowledgement of India being a skilled country, as opposed to China, which earlier used to be mass production. So production is coming back to India. A lot of US companies, European companies are now looking at India because of low skilled manpower and the volume of manpower that they have at their behest. 13% contribution to GDP by 2025 it's not too far off. Today we are at a give or take 5.5, 6% of gross domestic product, but 13% is not too far off in the future. The Bangalore real estate market today, interestingly, with a population of 1.2 crore people, has a volume of about 30 to 35,000 crores, give or take. Bombay, which is twice as populated with a number of 2.1 odd crore people, has a market size of 70,000 crores. It's much more noisier, it's chaotic, it's far more mature in terms of what it has to offer. It's a linear city, but it's also expanding to the east, further north. Similarly, Bangalore has no way to look but north, where extant land, large land aggregation, the land parcels lie. So the projection is in the next 20 years, 15 years, I beg your pardon, in the next 15 years, from a value of industry which is 35,000 crores in Bangalore, we are set to double. And that is not one organization's effort, it's all our efforts across all companies, with all due respect, that will really bridge this gap. So in effect, we are talking about a population influx of 15 lakh people every 5 years to this city. Surprisingly, yes. So if you look at this next graph, back in 2000, the population of Bangalore was hovering at a 50, 60 lakh number. And you suddenly have a jump when you look at 2015. That's where Bangalore breached the 1 crore number. And thus, demand in commercial, residential, retail, real estate offerings and absorption. So across a 15-year horizon, your population has actually doubled. And the way other cities are becoming infrastructurally unstable, the way there is slated to have a reverse brain drain. You look at US, you look at the non-migrant friendly policies that Trump is rolling out. You look at anywhere which had a large bearing through Silicon Valley and IT. There's a large reverse brain drain that is happening. All the people who left Hyderabad and Bangalore back in the 80s and 90s are now looking at a far more stable economy. So the projection that we have here is between 2020, 1.2 crore people, to 2035, which is a 15-year horizon, you will have a growth approximating 2.5% every year. And where do these people go? Where do they live? Where do they work? They will have families to feed. And I think the next natural evolution for a city has to be up north. At least for Bangalore, that's the way. And that is also exemplified in the creation of the Kempegowda International Airport back in 2008. They could have chosen a white field or an electronic city within city precincts. But there was a reason why the government chose North Bangalore in 2008 to define one of the largest and most busy airports of the world. While in the wake of COVID, I think the governments also had fair amount of, well-articulated policies and measures to sustain this sector. And what has really happened, very simplistically, if you look at what it used to take a family of, let's say, double income, no kids, or double income, 2 kids, to own a 50 lakh home. The earlier eligibility was 69,000 to 70,000 household income per month. It's now dropped to 61,000. Why? Because there's been a drop of 40 basis points in the cost of borrowing for a retail buyer. So today an SBI, a Bank of Baroda, a UBI, they're all giving loans at 7.4%. I think these are numbers our parents are sort of privy to. We were aligned to 8.5%, 9%, 10% floating. I myself have a home loan which started out at 10.5% floating. Today, the income required to purchase a 1 crore home has dropped from 1.3 lakhs a month to 1.22 lakhs. And that also defines your consumption, because suddenly your affordability is far more adaptive to real situations. Add to that Nirmala Sitharaman's announcement of 25,000 crores for ready to move in locked property. And I think that's a long-standing debate which is again out there. There's discussion of further regulations to attract FDIs. In the last 7 to 8 months, there have been about 2,200 crores of foreign direct investment. But in a sector which is slated to have 13% contribution to GDP in the next 10 years, I think there's a larger inflow of FDI, which is very welcome, but it also means more regulation. It means more discipline on your part, as much as the onus lies on us as developers to create the best products. And a few, glimpses. I think these images are very telling in what they, denote. You look at this beautiful landscape down bottom, Hawaii, which is something Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani developed in the 90s, in the 2000s, from this barren land parcel. Nobody believed it could become such an inclusive ecosystem. And that's Hawaii Lake for you, as usual, covered with a lot of hyacinth. Sharad Pawar had his hotel, Renaissance, back in time. That changed to something as glorious as this, where hundreds and thousands of people have a great livelihood. They stay there. That's the future of cities and how they are built. Gurugram, one of the most interesting evolutionary stories that I can narrate. Back in the 80s, when Sanjay Gandhi inaugurated this very democratic Maruti car with a factory in Manesar, to today being host to 250 top Fortune 500 companies, right? You had KP Singh aggregating land under the watchful, under the rule of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. And then they got a GE, General Electric, started their first factory back in the 80s, right? Right after you got, today you have a Paytm, you have a Zomato, you have, Hero Honda, the Munjals, all of the, you have DLF. Look at this landscape on the right. It is as glorious as it gets. And it's not a wonder really that Gurugram today features as one of the most habitable places, habitable cities in the country today. Dubai, what better example can one really give? Beautiful long stretch of Sheikh Zayed Road, cutting across the length in the heart of the city. And on either side, you have swashbuckling, brilliant, impressive 100-story towers, 80-story towers coming up. There's a short video I'd like to share with you, which is really interesting, given what we are trying to tell you is the scope for North Bangalore. I had the great fortune of working in Dubai back in 2007-8 when they were making Burj Khalifa, and they were really putting the outer facade together. And it's not a surprise the amount of, especially from Kerala, the sort of workforce that moves there, the various nationalities that come together making blueprints, execution boards, project management features, right? Everything, all those teams, when they come together, it's brilliant. The part of real estate that really is so inclusive and heterogeneous in scope. So coming back to why these videos were shown in the first place, we anticipate nothing different for North Bangalore. In fact, there's already, as we speak, 14,500 acres commissioned for future developments. And I was doing some interesting Googling up. So Chinnaswamy Stadium here is approximately 16.5, 17 acres, give or take. And the amount of land that is getting constructed or being developed, commissioned by the government, a lot of private players as well, is the equivalent of 800 Chinnaswamy stadiums. So I don't think I need to exemplify this any further, the largeness and the scale and scope of what's going to happen here. One very interesting surmise is that North Bangalore today is probably not as prolific as we understand it to be. But in the next 10 to 15 years, as we anticipate reverse brain drain, a population, mini population explosion in urban precincts, Bangalore being one of the most stable, sustainable micro markets, cities in India, right? North Bangalore alone will become the size of what we know as Bangalore today. And the amount of funds that are already being commissioned, discussed, and put to execution by the government are no less than 1.21 lakh crores. Just hold that figure in your minds. 1.21 lakh crores. That's brilliant. That's huge. And within this, at the epicenter of all of this action, is the offering, is a palette of offerings by Century Group. So I'm going to spend a few seconds deliberating on the facets that we think will define North Bangalore. You have an BIAL IT investment region. Not surprisingly, there are already commitments from some of the large tech players, 1.67 lakh crore investment here itself, and 40 lakh direct indirect job opportunities. Even if you assume 30% of the 40 lakh chooses to stay close to work, where do you suppose the housing is going to come from, right? Then Bangalore Aerospace SEZ. Karnataka, interestingly, is the only state in India with a separate aerospace policy. And very soon in the pipeline, long deliberated, I think it's becoming a necessity now. There will be a 950-acre SEZ campus with 56 plus committed companies already. Devanhalli Business Park, there is a little bit of mixed news around this particular development, but this 415-acre park is going to be definitive in how the real estate landscape in North Bangalore is seen. So I was seeing, I think Bangalore probably has one of the largest IT parks in Whitefield, which is about 450,000 mall spaces. Now multiply that 10-fold or even 15-fold, and you probably get a semblance of the scale and scope of Devanhalli Business Park. 104 acres already reserved for specific sectors: aviation, tourism, meteorology, and power. Then you have the International Convention Center, again, very much in the works. And these are some small but very interesting, subtle diagrams. The top is the PRR, Peripheral Ring Road, which is a 8-lane, 116-kilometer long road fusing the entire breadth, the perimeter of this city. And below is the new metro line, which is approximately 38 to 39 kilometers, connecting KR Puram to KIAL terminals. So pretty much you can cut across the entire city and have easy navigability. I think that's what Singapore today stands for. You go to Bangkok, you go to even Delhi for that matter. The metro route has, in some sense, made connectivity to all parts of the city feasible, because there's no other way that you can really transit and make good of this large expanse. A very short video, which was also used as a teaser, I'd like to play that, which pretty much sums up the spirit of what is being discussed. while we are very progressively discussing what's to come in the next century, I think it's also important to salute the people who put in the sweat, time, energy, navigating their way in a very unstructured ecosystem, right from the 70s down to the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. People who didn't have, the internet, the reams of information available at their fingertips, as we now very much take for granted. People who saw hope and a vision and the opportunity that we now see so easily. People who have now, using whose vision we are now laying the roadmap ahead. A small video on the Century Group and the founding fathers, I think it's very important to salute, respect, and acknowledge the work put in by them before we embark on this large journey.
This is a story of a company whose future builds on the foundation of its past. A company that has always embraced innovation and growth. This is a story of Century Real Estate. Century Real Estate's incredible journey began with a young civil engineer, Dr. Dayanand Pai, who came to Bangalore in 1968. Few back then could have imagined that this sleepy town would one day become a global metropolis of the future. But Dr. Pai had a clear vision of the transformation that was to come, and that vision ignited a dream. In 1973, along with his brother Satish Pai, he founded Century Real Estate and got into the business of land trading, in effect laying the groundwork for decades of industry leadership.
He's one of the earliest land aggregators Bangalore had ever seen. I don't think there could be either a similar human being or an organization in this country that has done land banking at such an early stage.
With Dr. Pai at the vanguard, Century Real Estate had put together a significant land bank and in turn made this available to Bangalore's earliest developers.
Mr. Pai's vision of expanding or aggregating land in different parts of Bangalore is a tribute to Bangalore developers and has contributed a lot to this growth of the city.
As Bangalore grew, so did Century Real Estate. The company made a calculated transition from land trading to development in the 80s, at a time when the real estate sector was still evolving and largely unorganized. Dr. Pai and Century Real Estate had already built a reputation for transparency and fair dealings.
I have known Dayanand for more than 3 decades. At the end of the day, net, what you really want is a very fair and clean deal, and he is known for that.
You have an Irfan Razak, you have Jitu Virbani, you have all the developers that you can possibly think of speaking highly about the integrity. And I think this is a sector where integrity, intent, and ability come together to create something wonderful. And that being the true ingredient, there is no way things can go wrong. So at a corporate level, industry experience of over 50 years, which also demonstrates to show that this company would have seen a lot of economic turbulences macroeconomically, a lot of political hands being changed across the years. But at a fundamental level, if you have a great marketplace, you have a great product, and you do justice to your execution and your promise, a 50-year legacy can be taken even further. From being land aggregators to professionalizing it now, to building and selling, creating some landmark developments, over 3,500 families, and a live development portfolio exceeding 20 million square feet. I don't think these are numbers which are the accumulation of just a decade. It's at least the work and vision and execution of 5 to 6 decades altogether. And a few more impressive testimonials. You have from Dr. Ranjan Pai, Manipal Education and Medical Group. You have Jitu Virvani, we just saw that video. We have Vijay Agarwal, MD Salarpuria Satwa Group. We are looking forward to more transactions with Century Group. Across the board, there is an acknowledgement and salutation of a good, clean intent, followed through with the backbone of hard work. So a few projects that you can really think of right from 1973 to 80, where the focus was on central Bangalore, because that was the hotbed of a lot of real estate action. We had Manipal Center, Dickinson Road, to the glorious Taj Vivanta MG Road, where which was a land aggregated by Century Group and then jointly developed. Ramanashri Arcade, Trinity Circle, Vijaya Bank. These are landmarks as you know it for people who are in Bangalore, and for the people who are not here. You can look it up on Google. Have a look at the scale and scope of these developments. You'll understand what brilliant, beautiful, large land banks this company once owned and helped others develop. Then right about the 1980s, focus shifted a little bit to the east of Bangalore. That's where Whitefield and all eventually came, right? Almost 4,000 acres. You have Manipal Hospital, you have the Diamond District, Carlton Towers, Manipal Towers, pie layout. Very large, impressive edifices of grand visions. That was pretty much the decade defining the 80s. And then again, 1990 onwards, focus shifted to South Bangalore. That was the time you had Electronic City being on the blueprint. A lot of execution was happening. So you had a pie layout, IBC Knowledge Park, Panirghatta Road, Manipal County of Hosur Road. All of these were really aggregated, developed, constructed around that point of time. Only recently, there's been a shift in focus, which rightly envisages the next wave of growth to be driven by north of Bangalore. So that's where you see a lot of delivered projects, some fantastic ones, Century Corbeil, Celeste, Marvel, Linea, and Ramanashri California Resorts. That's just an aerial shot of one of the small developments that Century has delivered. You can make out from the aesthetics. It's just so pristine. It's got nothing to do with anything you've seen in your nearby vicinity. And this is a summary slide of the projects we have collaboratively sort of lend a hand to in terms of land aggregation and deployment. But look at those players. You have a Prestige, you have Sterling, you have Mitesh, Shobha, Brigade. The best brands that you can think of have partnered with Century Group. That itself stands testimony to the vision of Dr. Pai. My next section is really the forward-looking section. We're going to spend 15-20 minutes deliberating about what's life in store for us over the next, let's say, a couple of months, 3 months max. There'll be new and more evolved offerings available to you shortly. Reminds me of a small quote to do with globalization, because we really use the best people, the best methodologies, the best policies around development, land acquisition, and the best construction technology. And of course, the finest ingredients. So Princess Diana's death is actually cited as jocularly as a prime example of globalization. It goes something like this. So we had an English princess with an Egyptian boyfriend. She crashes into a French tunnel, driven by a Belgian in a German car with a Dutch engine. Followed by American doctors administered Brazilian medicines, but eventually they failed to revive her. This is narrated to you in 2020 by a person who grew up in Bengal through a device which is manufactured in US, probably with a chip integrated in Taipei and the backbone probably developed in China. That really is the blend, the melting pot that our industry stands for. True globalization. From various parts of the globe we come and we define something brilliant. Starting with Century Renata, I think this is really the crown jewel of the Century portfolio today. That is just a small schematic. Who gives you such beautiful, large, 2,500 to 3,000 square feet of garden spaces in the heart of the city? Okay, that is a small schematic of only 30 families appropriating beautiful bare shell homes. They're truly customizable. It's a small 1.14 acre development. It's in the heart of Richmond Road. bang opposite Bangalore Club. So the person who stays here or chooses to stay here is probably got a net worth of 50, 60 crores. He doesn't need to get up in the morning at 9 and go to work and punch in a timing. Yet there are doctors, yet there are industrialists, yet there are business people who wake up at 5:30, finish their jog, run the course of the day, do their yoga, get to work. Because on them depends the livelihood of 500 other people. On them depends the well-being of the patients of a cardiac hospital. This is the sort of gentry which stays here. This is a ready development, G+4, and one must acknowledge that the people who choose to stay here, only once in a lifetime you get to acknowledge and interact with such people. It's a privilege for the Century Group to be associated with such people. And should be really compromise on a product of this caliber for people of this genre? Absolutely not. Top left is a small image of your lobby section, brought alive by the finest horticulturists in the country. You can see a small microcosm of a forest created lovingly. It stands there. Please come by and have a look. We are yet in the process of revamping the gardens, but in the next week, 10 days, it is our expectation, our humble and sincere request for those of you who operate in this micro market, do come by and have a look at this brilliant spectacle of a development. That's the gym. On the left bottom side is the swimming pool. I have not seen any of these legitimate tycoons discuss wealth. They are wealth. These people are wealth. They come there, they discuss the next NGO they are participating with. They discuss the Rotary clubs they want to be part of or they are contributing to. During COVID, a lot many of them really decided to partner and help out society. For me, gentlemen, this is the creme de la creme, which is at the top of Maslow's pyramid. These are self-actualized. Money doesn't bother them. Money becomes them. They are wealth. They define the future. So if I were to really summarize this in a nutshell, you're next door to the ultra prestigious Bangalore Club, which is acknowledged without, rather equivocally to be Bangalore's #1 club. Interestingly, illustrious members also included the late Winston Churchill. So the last time I checked, they said, you'll be 80 by the time we get a membership, because it's easily a 40, 45-year-old wait. And these people, they generally go there. That's where they do their breakfast. This place is home to industrialists, the city's top surgeons, the top CEXOs. They don't need to work. For them, life has a different, larger purpose. And we must bow down. We must salute this gentry. Only 30 residents, large customizable units with wraparound gardens. Because when they are done with the chaos and the noise of this world, when they are done with laying the roadmap for 500 people, 1,000 people, when they come back, they want a little bit of sanctuary. They want a little peace, a little quiet. No better location, no better home, no better lifestyle. Without an iota of doubt. If you can find a better home for this gentry of people in Bangalore, we urge you, take them there. But because no good thing extends itself indefinitely, we have an offer only till the end of June 2020. In a micro market dominated with fairly competitive price points ranging ballpark between 25 to 27,000 per square feet, Century Group will offer channel partners the opportunity to fill up these residences with the creme de la creme at 21,000 per square feet. We also incidentally have very few duplex garden units. For a closer call, for a closer look, I encourage all of you to come by and have a look at this brilliant development. So 3 and 4 bed residences starting at 6.5 crores, and the duplex garden residences which we spoke about, which offer a mammoth 5,000 odd square feet of space starting at 11 crores. Next up, Century Artisan. Again, prime Yelahanka, one of the finest micro markets, which is, I dare say, the Oxford of the South. You have 30 educational institutions. You have a Lamborghini showroom. You have the best stalwarts in industry, industrialists, Hollywood celebrities, sports superstars appropriating land here. And there's a very good reason for that. It's 20 minutes to the airport. So for anybody who's really willing to get out of home and do a domestic or an international getaway, it's just a 20-minute drive. B, I think people of this set like to appropriate addresses and ownership close to each other. So they form a small coterie. That's just a small schematic of the double height lobby of the 50,000 square feet clubhouse. A 50,000 square feet clubhouse for a plotted development. Who gives you? Really, the crazy ones give you something like that, right? You see a winded spiral staircase. This is exactly what you'll see. And then that is the schematic of the plots. Justifiably, we have likened these plots to some of the masters ahead of our times. For instance, right now, what is the hot flavor of the season? I can tell you because we are doing digital marketing. We're getting a lot of leads, a lot of walk-ins for this. Other Rembrandt bungalow plots, 15 to 75 square feet. That's almost 3,800 odd square feet. The ones in dark brown at the bottom left. Also very popular are the Da Vinci mansions, which are approximately 4,000 square feet. So this entire belt that you see here are the ones we want to move out. The rest of the development phase 1 is sold out. Go there, have a look. Go there, have a look. I went there. I wish I had the appetite to buy something like this. I love this product. And of course, this section on the top right is where the clubhouse comes alive. Now, over a 4,000 square feet plot, using a G+2 allowance, one can really build a 7,500 square feet bungalow, or mansion, or villa. That's a 6-bedroom, 7-bedroom, brilliant, second, third, fourth home. You park your Lamborghini, have a barbecue laid out, take a dip in the swimming pool with a chilled beer, go back to the clubhouse, play a game of squash or tennis, come back to your family, have a nice, bonfire in the evening with your neighbors. What more can you want? This is really life at its best. This little part that you see here, the right-hand side, which is amplified in the form of this clubhouse, this is this part. Now look at how densely packed, how crazily we've given all these amenities. Number 1, 2 tennis courts. Number 2, a beach volleyball court. Number 3, a box cricket zone here. Right next to it, a full-blown basketball court. There's a large green patch. This is your 50,000 square feet clubhouse. You enter, you have the double height lobby. You have steam spa sauna. You have a pool deck out here. You have a large swimming pool and a kids pool, right? Should you want to play badminton, which is, of course, thanks to the Deepika Padukone Academy right next door. I think it's 2.5 kilometers out. Should any of your children be interested in badminton, there are 2 badminton courts here to, polish your skills. And of course, you have small retail offices. We do understand a lot of very senior professionals would like to own land here and probably operate out of home, especially with COVID. You have the dire need to work from home. God forbid, should it extend itself. But you have retail spaces here where the professionals can have a brilliant, ecosystem, which is home, hearth, office, retail. You also have a fantastic banquet hall and a restaurant. So all said and done, you're not really subscribing to plotted land. You're looking at holistic living with Swiss grade A gentry as your neighbors, a lot of them celebrities. And by the way, you also have Oxford of the East. So large 4,000 square feet plots, already home to the Swiss set, a location prime for sustained growth. And if I dare say, this is really the Oxford of the South, and plots starting at 2.9 crore onwards. Now have a look at this grid. Within a 5, 7.5, 12 kilometer radius, you've plotted the best institutions. And I can read out some of these. Ryan International School, arguably Bangalore's best. You have Canadian International School, Malya Aditi International School at a distance of 7 kilometers. You have Padukone Dravid Center for Sports Excellence, Niti School of Management, Stonehill, Vidyashilp Academy. What more can you want? And when you have these sort of schools, there's certain logic which is out there, which is the parents of the kids who are going here are pretty much the evolved gentry. And they need not homes, they need villas, they need a canvas, an empty, open, large canvas. with all the bells and whistles. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Century Artisan for you. Moving on, Century Eden, which is a little up north, a little to the northwest side of the city. No less in scope, but you have slightly smaller plots, 30 by 40, which is 1200 square feet carpet plot size. That's your clubhouse. Just have a look at this. A 40 lakh land parcel gives you a clubhouse with 25 plus amenities. 16,000 square feet clubhouse ready. You have tennis courts, you have a full-blown cricket ground, you have an amphitheater, you have a basketball court. What don't you have? In fact, not surprisingly, we were actually testing this out. If you have a great product, you have a great marketplace, how can you really derive value through pricing? During lockdown, a select channel partners who are today in attendance, you guys helped us sell 60% of the inventory. And there's already a pipeline which the closing team has for a complete sellout. I think we were the only developer to hike pricing during the lockdown. It's not madness. It's just plain legit logic. When your demand exceeds supply, you can control price. And that's what we will do in the creation of markets. On the right, you can see that little bit of amphitheater, which we spoke about. Beautiful manicured greens. Get your customers here. We have golf carts. Let them have a look. 30 odd people have already started building their villas. And I would love to think, how life would be blessed in a place like this. You drive in your Pajero, you park your vehicle, play with your kids, maybe have enough room for your dogs. This is a G+2 structure. Nice barbecue or terrace garden and a plethora of rooms for your family. Your entire extended family will come and enjoy a weekend. What more can you really want? Moving on, few actual photos, which, and a host of amenities. Get your customers here. We guarantee you nobody's, if we have any plots left, but anyway, come and have a look at a delivered clubhouse from the Century portfolio. This is Century Sports Village again. Again, a crazy product to my mind. Abundance of sports amenities. That's just an aerial shot. But if you look at this, your basketball courts, you have an archery section, you got 2 tennis courts, you have an Olympic-sized swimming pool, you have skating rinks. What's going on here? I mean, I don't think I'd be able to work if I had a home in a place like this. 745 plots, most of which are sold out. But should you be interested, get your customers there. This again is in the northwest part of the city, just 15 to 20 minutes drive to the international airport. So 7 acres of dedicated sports amenities, 7 acres. That's 280,000, 3 lakh square feet of sports amenities. Devanali Business Park, the 415-acre mammoth mega print of what's to come. This is right next door. Oh, I was sorry, it's not 15 minutes drive, it's 10 minutes drive to the international airport. And with the upcoming metro, if you just want to go to Bangkok or Switzerland or wherever it is, you just take your trolley bag, get onto the metro, 3 kilometers, you're home. And of course, we have housing demand with these companies, Boeing, Wipro, and Shell. They're already operating from KIADB. So you'll have housing requirements. And no wonder CSV sells out the moment we release a tranche of inventory out there. Flavor of the month for next month as well, Century Horizon. Very dear to our hearts. Brilliant development and thoughtfully mixed use. The best part about this development, it's in Jakkur, right on the highway. There is not a single pre-launch anticipated over the next 5 years along this stretch on NH44. Not a single pre-launch from a grade A developer. Okay. Understandably, only 150 plus residences, bulk of them 3 beds, large carpet spaces, beautiful layouts, large gardens, almost 200 square feet balconies. How much sun, how much ventilation, how much beauty can you create? This is just a small example of what can be done. So let's have a look at this. That's your double height lobby, air conditioned lobby, very classy, very prominent, right on the road, right? That's your seating area, very artistically done. And that is 99.99% of what reality is going to be like. Excavation is underway, rapid stages of construction. We've already sold out 50 units even without launching. So you have technically 100 units to sell in the coming month. We believe highly achievable. That's your typical living room. Best part of a living room, a 3-bed with 225 square feet space, living dining, bright sun coming in, and again a 220 square feet balcony. So I can really have a yoga corner, I can have a library, I can have a small bar, I can have a barbecue section. I can really live life the way I want to. Mind you, gentlemen, the people who are subscribing here, for them this is not the first purchase, it's the second, third or fourth purchase. They are self-actualized, time-starved. They don't have time. They want to stay on the highway, make a quick getaway. They love the residences, they love the amenities. That's your standard bedroom. That's about 140 odd square feet, give or take. But it's beautifully laid out, all sides, full height French windows. Full height French windows. Wherever you look from, you have beautiful greenery. This is right next to GKVK. So in essence, you have the green, potential green lungs, 125 acres of unsullied, unpolluted greens, better AQI, great connectivity, fantastic layouts, mixed use. That's the second bedroom, wooden flooring, brilliant aesthetics. You can see the length of the French window. You have a small sitting area out here. Of course, can the business gentry or these high flyers really be satisfied without a little indulgence? We have a brilliant billiards room. There's a 10,000 square feet clubhouse. Now, it's not too big, it's not too small, just right, perfect. You don't want to make it ostentatious. People want to use this. 150 families, 10,000 square feet clubhouse, just right. And of course, you have a temperature controlled swimming pool as well. That's a feel of the clubhouse. You can see there are various weight sections, there are cardio machines, there are full body machines. It's pretty large in scope. That's your temperature controlled swimming pool. So you come back after a hard day's work, you've given brief to your employees, you've planned the next 100 crores of business. You come back, you want to take a dip in the pool, sit down with a nice glass of champagne next to your wife, right? The child comes back from school easily, he's probably skating downstairs, you relax. And this person doesn't want to be part of a 5,000 unit development. He wants choice. He wants to be the select few. So Century Horizon, my friends, again, come and have a look. Beautiful sales office. We have a beautiful under construction area. Have a look. Once you get your customer here, you don't have to worry. Our closing team, fire powers, fire brands, they're going to do the rest of the work for you. So I'm going to summarize this. Mixed use boutique development. You got commercial, 152 homes comprising of residential, a 10,000 square feet clubhouse, and of course retail. Right at the cusp of what we call old Bangalore. So you want to go to Cubbon Park for a jog? Sure, 5 minutes drive. You want to go to MG Road? No problem. You want to have a spot of coffee. You want to do some shopping on Brigade Road, all 15 to 20 minutes away. And you want to get to the airport 25 minutes. The large area around which all the action that we mentioned earlier is going to happen. This is the inflection point, people. You can't get a location better than this. Your entry exit points are pretty much on the highway. Only 100 residences on offer for the next month. Move fast before it sells out. Next to upcoming Phoenix Mall, like I said, 125 acres of open greens, thanks to GKVK. Very large, pretty much best in class 3-bed homes, spacious private deck, approximately 220 square feet area, and very large size, 220 square feet living dining. Temperature controlled indoor swimming pool, 10,000 square feet clubhouse. Now, if this is the only grade A launch and people are waiting to buy, people know that prices are going to escalate because of the developments happening in North Bangalore. And we are at the unmatched confluence of North Bangalore emergent and old Bangalore. Isn't this a legit price? 3 BHK, 1667 square feet, saleable. Only 1.4 crore all inclusive. We want to sell out, which is why this price is so lucrative. We didn't want to outprice ourselves. It's not a 2 crore price point. At 1.4 crores, bring your customer there. The value creation is left to the product, our salespeople, and a marketing pitch. 2 BHK, well, we have very few of these should you have people who are inclined towards a 2 BHK, it's just a crow. Only for June, again, we have a very clear, tailored, customized payment schedule. We did a study of what people really want. We do understand people want a little bit of comfort towards, paying their initial due payments. Thanks to COVID, a lot of reflection has had to happen, and we have tailored, customized payment plans in anticipation of customer requirements. Willy-nilly, may I dare say, 1 in 4 people who walks in, will love this product and also the payment schedule. But mind you, this is only for June 2020. It doesn't go a day beyond that. You have to move and move fast. All the tools required, the opportunity document, ads, digital support, everything will be available from tomorrow onwards. Coming soon, of course, this can't be the end of the story. We have very large projects again, which we are sort of revamping behind the scenes. Would prefer not to, tom too much about that. But in a brand new avatar, a lot of architecture, design inputs. This is Century Breeze. That's just thematic. Again, a rather crazy, ambitious offering. 80% open spaces. 80% open spaces. Who does that? Like, I would love to buy a home here. You see these tennis courts. You have a floodlit basketball court. You have a large amphitheater. A brilliant clubhouse. So, by the way, you're just giving me so much, and I need to pay X to move in here. That's your schematic. And this is the actual part. My friends, meet me after a month. Meet Ajay after a month. Come here after a month. Maybe even less than a month. What you'll see here is no less than Singapore and Hong Kong. And Hong Kong doesn't even give proper flats. We're going to see here is grade A, North Bangalore market defining products. And this is WIP, work in progress. Not going to share too much about this, but in due course, all of you will have to participate on this. That's Century Ethos. Again, an absolutely audacious project, which is topped out, but more on this in good time. And as you can see, we have an actual shot. We are making good on the sample flat, the driveway, everything gets changed. A lot of cosmetic level changes. More on this next month, sometime around the middle of June. This is Century Greens again, gated land, plotted development. It's a little scary how fast this moves out. We are really wondering whether we have underpriced ourselves. Every time we release, it gets sold in 2 days. So that's really a question mark on what we are doing with the pricing, right? That's all coming soon. But mind you, we told you first, don't waste a single day. When it's announced, sell it out. And of course, Century Indus, look at the density of greens. This is not even 10% of what's out there. Beautiful apartments. We've just sold out the last few. And there's a phase E coming up with a signature tower, right? We'll have only 8 to 10 units, not in a position to disclose too much. But again, for people who are operating in Raja Rajeshwari Nagar and precincts, great opportunity. Don't waste your time running around here and there. This is a sellout product again. And like this, the engagement goes beyond not just this quarter, beyond this quarter, beyond this month, beyond the year. There are tons of projects coming. Get ready to get tired. Get ready to grow your teams. How audacious can you get, right? With this, I must hand over again to Ajay, who has painstakingly, invited each of you. His team has done a lot of legwork. Let's make sure this effort counts. We sit at Ethos. From tomorrow onwards, there are meetings galore. Come by. Let's beat COVID. Let's do justice to this portfolio. There's brilliance right ahead. Thank you very much. Ajay.
Thank you, Shavik. Wow, what a brilliant, power-packed session by Shavik. Century and the product portfolio what we are having. Moving forward, yes, the most interesting session and part of the day will also come now. As we all agree, great things are not done alone. It is done by great teams, which we call it as Century and you. Century Real Estate is also committed and dedicated to have that strong relation with our channel partners, wherein we both go hand in hand to ensure the big leap we deserve, creating a win-win situation. For ensuring the best support, Century has a dedicated sourcing team in Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Calcutta, Delhi, Kochi, giving an edge to have that comfortable selling experience for your customers from national and international market. Soon, we'll be setting up a GCC, Singapore, and UK as well. Now, this ensures whatever prospect we together generate is closed with the best possible effort. Now, let me present you what's on card for us this year and this season. Souvik has already explained the product portfolio and all about the best of North Bangalore. To add to the same, we'll be having a couple of new grand mega launches as well in coming quarters. Now, reason of this confidence is very, very simple, because Century has best location, best product, and the best price. Moving on. So what is there for you for this particular evening? I'm sure everybody is excited about that. Let me invite Mr. Maninder Chabra, Chief Strategy Officer of Century, to give his vision and growth forecast, along with something great for you guys, what even I'm not having. Mr. Mani.
Hi, very good evening. First of all, to all our partners and prospective channel partners who joined us from Bangalore, outside Bangalore, within the country, and from across the globe. Thank you so much for taking our time. It's very heartening to see the messages that are floating on to the panelists from all of you right through the presentation that happened. Thank you so much for engaging. We'll engage with each one of you, and thanks so much for all the positive comments we've got in that last 1 hour. Of course, fabulous products to showcase from Century, and lots more to come. Each of us here, Ajay, myself, Souvik, and the entire team here, all of us are very excited at the incredible journey in front of us for Century. The journey of, like we said, not of a quarter, not of a year, but of a century ahead of all of us. But while we look at the future, just a bit about the past again. Yes, Century has stood for trust and values for over 50 years in the Bengaluru real estate market. Widely regarded, and you heard industry experts and the industry stalwarts already say that in the video, that we are widely regarded for across the industry for our spirit over letter dealings and our fair dealings. Yes, we are changing gears with fresh talent, new partners coming on board, aggressive marketing and sales, but the same principles that have built our legacy, we intend to carry forward. The principles of trust and values that we intend to take forward as a group. Okay, what to expect from Century in 2020? In this year, in just this year, what to expect from us as a partner, as your partner in business going forward? A, world-class marketing and sales support. Marketing that will make your clients ask you for Century products. We promise you that. Like Ajay already mentioned, a dedicated sourcing sales manager team where each of you gets to work with a dedicated relationship manager. B, fair processes and the best technology. What do I mean by this? We intend to achieve simple and efficient processes through the best in technology so that you and I, all of us and all our teams get to focus on each client who's coming in to buy a property. The processes will enable an efficient process for all of us. For each lead you bring in, we value each lead you bring in. We value your time and effort. That's why we'll make processes through the best technology efficient for you to operate in. And like we already mentioned at the start of the presentation, we promise you new opportunities, new blockbuster opportunities every quarter on quarter, ranging from 30 lakhs to 15 crores, a home for each segment of clients that you can bring on board. Like we said, our marketing will make your clients ask for Century. Those three things to expect from Century in 2020 as your partner. We want to operate this as partners in this business going forward for the next century. But a very important part of this partnership, which is often overlooked across organizations, we want to ensure your cash flow is our priority. As we embark on this very important journey for all of us in our lives in the next century, we believe that partner payouts are as important to us as salaries of our associates, which we always try and ensure the salary goes out to our associate at the end of the month, obviously without any follow-up. Likewise, to all of you, our partners, we promise you today that your payouts for the deals that you do with us will reach you. Your checks will be in your hand in 7 days flat from the date of invoice after the agreement of your customers. That's our promise to you for all years going forward, for each of the deals that you do with us. That's our promise to you, because we want you to focus on getting business and doing business, not focus on or spend time or waste time on following up for what belongs to you. Your check will reach you. You don't need to follow up with anybody. That's the century promise to you, my partners. We'll end today's session with what we started off with. Yes, we're trying to do some crazy stuff here, but yes, like that initial photograph you saw was of Steve Jobs at the start of his career, and this is at the peak of his career. But he continued to say, the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. We promise you, my partners, my friends, a blockbuster century ahead. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant evening.